We are now going to start dimensioning this drawing. And we're going to start with this piece here. So you can see we have two dimensions. We have the 1.465, we have the 1.078, and then we have the, excuse me, 0.157 diameter through hole. So let's go over to AutoCAD and put these in. Now, if you've created your print properly, you shouldn't actually have to change any dimensions. From the dimensioning toolbar, we can do vertical and horizontal dimensions with this tool here. So if we click here, we can put in the first dimension just by doing this. We click on this corner, then we click on the center hole, and then just pull down. And that'll create the dimension. To do the vertical dimension, we do the same thing. We can click here, and we can click there, and then we can pull it out in this direction. Now, to create this leader here, we can come out to this window and choose leader. And from there, we can click directly on the center hole. Pull the leader out. And you can see when we're done, it actually leaves us with a text box. So remember, we want a diameter 0.157. Now the diameter is that phi symbol, the circle with the diagonal line through it. In order to create that, we have to find it. So we can come over here and go to symbol. So what I did there is I right-clicked on my mouse button to bring up this menu, and then I chose symbol. Now here you can see diameter. And then for reference, you can see that if you type %C, that will actually give you the diameter symbol. So anyway, we can choose diameter, and then we can say 0.157 through. If we hit enter, we'll get a new line. If we hit the mouse button, we'll complete. So we're now done with that. Let's pan over to the middle. And the middle only has 2 dimensions, plus the radius here for this corner. Let's go ahead and do that. So we'll turn off our pan, or escape out of our pan. And we can choose dimension, choose here and there. Remember, you have to choose the outside edges or you won't get your full 4 inches. And unlike the drawing here, I'm going to put the 3 inches on this edge so that we don't get this intersection of the leader here showing that radius. And that's just a good example of saying that there's almost always a way to improve any drawing the second time around, or third time around, or how many ever times you do it. If you take another look at it, there may always be a better way to do it. So we bring out our 3 inches, and then we come over here and choose our leader, and we bring out our leader and type R 0.09, enter, or PL. So 4 places. And come over to this side. And what do we see here? We have, in this case, we do show the 2.1 inches here and the 1.553, 1.078, and then the 2.18 through hole. We also have this 0.005. This is saying the parallelism of the surface. So that's basically saying how parallel this surface should be to that surface and this surface perpendicular to that surface. All right, so we're going to pan over. Choose this edge and that edge. And first do that. And I'm going to also then choose this edge and the center here and do that. And I've actually intentionally done this wrong the first time so that I can show you how to correct it. Dimensions lines should not, as much as possible, overlap. And as you can see here, these lines cross. So what we should do is we should correct this. Well, how do we correct this? Well, we can come over here and we can take these lines and we can move them. So we can take this 2.1 inch line here and move it out. And we could also move the 1.5 inch in and then put the 2.5 inch or 2.1 inch line back. So when we're done, we should see that the lines should not intersect. We can add this 1.078 line there. And then we need to pull out the leader. Now the actual angle of the leader and the location, it's really not that important. We could, for instance, just as easily pull the leader out over here. And remember we said the at C is the diameter symbol, 0.218 through, which is apparently also 5.5 millimeters. Now we can come up here pull that out. Pull that down. Now, if you notice, these two are exactly the same, and we know they're shifted over, right, by 1.9 inches. So we could take those, select both of those, right-click on the mouse, type copy selection from the center point, move it over to the new center point. Makes it a little bit quicker and easier. When we put in these dimensions, we should go all the way from the far ones. Now you can see here, this sort of overlaps, and we don't particularly like that, right? So we could select this dimension, and we could take this and move this up here. Or we can move this. I'm not sure if it's possible to move it inside. Moving it inside is probably not. Well, that's okay if we take this and move it out to here. So there we go. Now we have no intersections, and that's fine. Let's just check and see what else we have for dimensions over there. If we're missing anything. Okay, so we have the 1.9 and the 1, and then the 0.99. So let's come back over here. Now, because we already have the center line that goes all the way over to there, to get this 1.9, we can just do this, or the 0.99. And to get the 1, we can do that. And then get the 1.9, or I'm sorry, 2.9, we could do that. Now we could do this two ways. We could do it this way, 2.9 from that edge, or as they've done it, dimension, center, center. Looks like we didn't actually choose the center. Center, center. We're not getting the center well. There you go. And we go drop that in right there. All right, so that completes this upper portion. We can then move down here, which is a bit of a crowded area. Let's do the real simple one first. We have this little tiny dimension, 0.125. And if you notice here, this is 0.125 ref. The reason this is ref is, if you're in class, you may remember this. This is an extrusion. Remember, this is an open area, and this is made from extruding a piece of aluminum. So the thickness here is whatever the part comes out to be. It's not necessarily 100% exact, and the tolerances tend to be rather wide. It tends to be more on the order of 10 to 20 mils than 0.005 that you would normally expect. So we need to add a little bit of text there. So we can add a single line of text. We can put it right down here next to the 0.125 or right under the 0.125. And then just REF. Enter. There we go. REF. And then we can move that, if we want to, we can move that around wherever we want. We can see that that text is much too small. We click on it, go to quick properties. The height is 60 mils. We can change it to 100 or maybe 125. 0.125. We change it to 125. It's going to be huge. Hit enter. That's a more reasonable size. We might even want to make it a little bigger than that. Maybe 200 or 0.2. 2. Yeah, that's a much better size. To make that point, and then we can move it to line it up a little better, like that. Okay, so we've got to complete the rest of the dimensioning here. Now we haven't put in any center marks yet. And I think our center marks are probably not center lines. So let's go ahead and change them. View, sorry. Format, dimension styles, modify. Lines. Symbols and arrows. Center marks. Let's make it, again, a center line. We hit OK. And then we hit close. So I'm going to start by putting in the center line here. And I choose the outside one. And I'm going to choose, put the center mark there. And then just so I don't forget, I am going to all right, we have the center mark there. We have the center mark there. And sort of by default, we have center marks here, so we're not going to add any additional center marks. It's actually not necessary. Okay, so we have our center marks in. We're going to start our dimensioning. So again, we choose dimension. We select here. We select here, pull down 2.925. Another dimension, we select here. Select that center. .137. So here it looks like I must have typed in a wrong dimension, because it should be 3.175. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this. Actually, before I do that, I want to check the other dimension in this dimension, make sure I got that one right. 1.325 is correct, but the 3.137, I might have typed 3.1375. And just to confirm that, I want to go into Format, Dimension Styles, Modify, Primary Units, and change my precision. Nope, 3.1370. I wanted to confirm that because I intend to move this, and if I move it, I want to make sure I move it the right amount. I'm going to go ahead and change that precision back. So primary units, go back to 3 zeros. Okay, and close. All right, so the difference between 3.137 and 3.175 is 0.038. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move, I'm going to select it right there, and I'm going to move it in that dimension, 0.038. And now that I've moved it, you can see that our center mark is off. We're going to go ahead and delete that. But if you look at our dimension actually followed the part. And this is the nice thing about once you put dimensions in, if you happen to move pieces around, your dimensions will follow those pieces. I also want to point out, if you noticed, I put the center marks in using the dimension, but it doesn't really change what the center marks are. Whether you use the center layer or the dimension layer, they're actually they are identical. And that's one of the reasons why we use that same color. Excuse me. Okay, so we've got to finish this up. And we've got a lot going on here. So let's see how we can do this to make it maybe even more readable than it was previously. So let's pull out a leader for here. And here we have 0.138-32 UNC-2B through. And what that is that's calling out a 632-inch tapped through hole. I'm going to bring out another leader. Again, leader, it's easiest to grab from up here. And I'm going to bring this out actually this way because I think it's a little cleaner. .112-40 UNC-2E through 2TL. Now we have to bring down 2 leaders down in this direction, one for the center hole and one for the bolt circle. So let's do the center hole. And actually, ideally, on a small hole, it doesn't matter too much, but on a large hole, it's probably better to bring out the leader from the edge of the hole as opposed to the center. So percent C 0.375 through. And then finally on the bolt circle, we bring out a leader, bring it out from there. Let us pan down a bit to get a little more room down here. Percent C. And the BC stands for bolt circle, and it's basically telling us that it's a circle. It's giving us information about where we're putting something, but not necessarily telling us we're drilling anywhere. So finally, the only thing we're missing is the 5-degree lines. And the 30-degree lines. So let's put those lines in. So to get an angle dimension, we can use this, I believe. An arc or polyline. That's an arc length. Right here, sorry. This is the angle dimension right here. And in order to do that, it looks like we're going to need a line. So let's actually draw a line. Extends out through there. And then draw another line. Extends out through there. All right, so we have that one dimension there, and then second dimension there. And then we want to move these dimensions to someplace that makes sense. So we can move that way out there. And this dimension, we can move out. Maybe to there. Okay, so there we have it. That's your drawing.